Good morning, everyone. Sorry. My name is Deng from Guangzhou Shenyang University. That's the title of my presentation. Before I started to present it, I'd like to give a little bit explanation on the term strategic deliberators. Since in theory, strategic means power-based, interest-oriented, and persuasion. I mean persuade others, but not to be persuaded by others. Deliberation means for the participants means they are autonomous, free, and they are willing to revise their opinions or preferences on the basis of new information. So these two words seems incompatible with each other, but I think I'd like to argue that the two words combined together, strategic deliberators, could be a useful term to explain or to analyze the reality and real politics in China right now. So this term I don't own credit of this term. I adapted from others. Should say that. So the main contents includes three parts. The first one, I'd like to provide some background information for that case. And the second part is I will try to tell a case story, the Wangjiang Si Lao case. And the third part, I will present the methods and some preliminary research findings. First, some background information for that case is the inland nuclear power debates and the anti-nuclear activists in China mainland. With this map, I'm trying to present some state of art of China's nuclear power plants. With this map, you can find that almost all of the operation units under operation and the units to be constructed is located on the eastern or south coastline in China. So the number is 36 operating units right now, and we have 21 units under construction. That's the latest data. But I remember very clear that about 4 years ago, and I started my research in the area of nuclear power. I remember that the units, the number of units under operating is 17 units in 2013. So 4 years passed, the numbers almost doubled to 36 operating units. So with these numbers, we can find that the newly built units grow really very fast over the past 5 years. The inland nuclear debate in China, after Fukushima accident, quite a few European countries, they chose to phase out nuclear power. And in China, we also have very fierce debates on whether or not to construct inland nuclear power plants after the Fukushima accident. And these debates are called inland nuclear debates in China. Since according to the nuclear experts, they say that it's nonsense to use the term inland nuclear, since there's no difference between inland nuclear power and the coastal nuclear power projects in terms of technology and safety requirements. But for the activists, they say it's really a significant issue, since there are more than 400 million Chinese live in the Yangtze River Basin, and which is one of the most densely populated area in China. So safety concerns is really a significant issue for the activists. And the debate centered on the Pengze project. That's the project and the case I'm presenting next. was regarded as the starting point of this debate, and it has been going on till now since 2011. The inland nuclear debates regarded as one of the main reasons for the current station of the proposed 3 inland nuclear power projects in China since 2012. With this form, I'm trying to differentiate 3 types of anti-inland nuclear power plant activists in China. The criteria I used is based on their distance from the decision power. The first time I labeled them as insisting political, cultural, and technology elites. There are some important figures there, such as Professor He Zuoxiu and Wang Jiang. He Zuoxiu is academician of the Chinese Academy of Science, and he is one of the earliest person to stand out, to speak up against the nuclear power. And Wang Jiang is a researcher in energy policy. She comes from the State Council's think tank, Development Research Center. Actually, Wang Jiang and He Zuoxiu has a very close relationship since Wang Jiang was a PhD student of Professor He Zuoxiu in Beijing University, and Wang Jiang's major was philosophy of science and technology. There are 2 other important figures in the first type. Among the first type, such as Gao Yanming and Chen Gong, they both are businessmen, and the role part of this form is some technology expert. They wrote quite a lot of articles, and they provide knowledge for all these types of activists, such as Liu Yulun, who was a former vice minister of nuclear industry ministry in China. And Liu Yulun is really a true expert in nuclear technology, since he graduated from Tsinghua University, major in nuclear technology, and he earned his PhD degree in Germany. It should be in 1980s. So his view to nuclear power is not clean energy, and is really very influential among the anti-nuclear activists. The second type, I label them as stakeholders of nuclear projects. There are some, such as Wangjiang Si Lao, that's the case I'm going to present. And there are some active or non-active stakeholder activists. I say the active because there are projects under construction in those cities. They are non-active, that's because the projects in those cities are suspended right now. The third type, I label them as citizen activists. I'd like to mention the most famous one, also the most active one, is Wu Hui. Wu Hui, who is very famous for his blog post, "Nuclear Power Will Ruin China." It's a very sensational blog post. Although these blog posts may not very accurate, but it's really very sensational. This is a very active one. There are some other citizen activists in this type. That's the landscape of anti-nuclear activists in China. Next, I'd like to tell the case story, Wangjiang Si Lao and the Jiangxi Pengze project. Very brief introduction to the project. Jiangxi Pengze project is an inland nuclear power plant located on the interprovincial boundary between Anhui and the Jiangxi Province. If you are familiar with the China's map, you can find its location is over there. It's inland part of China, and the nuclear project is on the interprovincial boundaries between Anhui and the Jiangxi Province. And this project is one of the 3 pioneer inland MPPs in China. The other 2, one is in Hunan, and the other one is in Hubei. Yeah. And this one is the most disputed one among the 3 projects. And Pengze project is important because it's the benchmark and the bottleneck for inland MPPs in China. So who are Wangjiang Si Lao? Basically, they are for senior retired CCP, Chinese Communist Party cadres in Wangjiang County, who organized protest against the Pengze project shortly after the Fukushima accident. They are local political or cultural elites. And Wangjiang Si Lao, the label has used for more than 6 years, but it already become a brand name and it continues to be used despite the change for its membership. Because of health problem, 2 of them was succeeded by another 2 senior elders in last year. While research on Wangjiang Si Lao, I will skip the 4 points and to emphasize the last 2 points. One is that there are thousands of different types of social protests taking place every year, but very few public deliberation events happen in China. And the Wangjiang case will be illuminating for us to explore into the potentials, the possibilities, challenges for strategic stakeholders to engage in public deliberation and deliberative governance. And the case study will also be valuable for us to explore into the important problem of inequality in public deliberation. Next, research questions. I list 3 questions. The first one, how Wangjiang Si Lao as strategic deliberators had successfully changed the unequal condition for deliberation, and to what extent and under what conditions do they break up the organizational and institutional inequalities and earn possible equal status in the deliberation process. The second one is how do deliberation institutions function in China? Why the proposed empowering institutions such as the Social Stability Risk Assessment Act, which issued in 2012, and to name a few, cannot empower citizens like Wangjiang Si Lao? And on the contrary, these institutions were used to discipline empower them. And the third one is what are the impacts of their protest? What are their contributions to deliberative governance in China? The research methods basically use the case study as a research approach, and also use in-depth interview and content analysis, things like that. We do dozens of interviews with the anti-nuclear activists. Also, our interviewee include managers from nuclear industry and local government officials. Next, I will try to present some preliminary research findings. First, the process. That's a very interesting process. In 2011, just after Fukushima accident was reported on the news media, Wangjiang Si Lao found that there is a project under construction just 5 to 10 kilometers away from their home. That's in Jiangxi Province. And they found that it's a really horrible thing. So they thought that they must do something to stop that project. But how to do it? So they wrote a petition letter to Premier Wen Jiabao at that time, and to send their letters to all different level of government agencies. But they get no response from anyone. So the first phase level is try to, but fail to get noticed. The phase 2, one day, Mr. Fang Guangwen found that there is an important article wrote by He Zuoxiu. The title is opposing the nuclear power leapfrog forward. This article, and the delighted information he found that He Zuoxiu's birthplace is in Wangjiang County, and from the Wangjiang Townsmen Association in Beijing, Mr. Fang got contact with He Zuoxiu and emailed their petition letter originally written to Premier Wen Jiabao to He Zuoxiu, and He Zuoxiu submitted this letter to Premier Wen Jiabao, and very fast, very quickly, Wen Jiabao wrote a instructions on this letter, and things changed dramatically since this milestone. From that point on, they became more confident, and they felt it's safe to promote this issue into public spotlight, and they try to attract the news media to report it. That's in the third phase, the increased media exposure, and the third phase is, I think the very key milestone is in October 24th in 2012. There is the executive meeting of State Council ruled that no inland nuclear power project will be approved in the 12 5-year period, and it's also later extended to the 13 5-year plan period. So under the current administration, it's said that the inland nuclear power planning will not be constructed. Yeah. Next, I will try to give some evaluative analysis to this case. First, we develop an integrative analysis framework, including 3 dimensions and some activities to place those activities in different dimensions. I will skip this one and just to present some analysis we did. First one is seek power and social influence. The first type of activities, inside the activities, they try to gain endorsement and support from government officials. The second type, we say it as outside activities to try to gain access to news media to tell alternative story and try to sway public opinion to inland MPPs. The third network activities, they try to get together online to share information and produce knowledge and facts on nuclear power. And they also try to frame their identity, claims, and actions as legitimate, such as they participate building up a loosely connected network nationwide, but never establish an organization, never use the word anti-nuclear activists, and always refuse the news media to use this word to name them. And they always refuse interview requests from foreign news media. They keep no connections with so-called Western hostile forces. And they also try to bring their urgent claims to policymakers and into public spotlight. I will try to skip this one. And to do some impacts evaluation, we also develop a analysis framework for it, such as social impacts, impacts on public deliberation, and impacts on nuclear power policies. Let me skip these slides to the last part. Wangjiang Si Lao as strategic deliberators engage in public deliberation. What are the contributions, problems, and challenges? I think they do have some contributions, such as their protest is instrumental to address the background in inequalities and injustice. And their protest works as a test to the deliberation institutions in China. And thirdly, their protest provided very crucial sites for democracy schooling. And there are also some problems and challenges. First, the success or failure of Strauss protest very much depends on the endorsement and support from the government. And secondly, their protest still could not have a direct impact on the nuclear power policy process. But since the protest shaped opinion formation, frames, and preferences among the local residents, it did add up the difficulties to propose a nuclear power planning that's for them to come true. Thirdly, the unrational dimension of Strauss' influence strategy, they actually disengage them from deliberation. They even use rumors or unrational discourse to protest against the powerful group. Fourth, as Si Lao as NIMBY activists and interest advocates position them to be more antagonistic to their counterpart in the government or corporations. That's all. Thank you.